Well, greetings everyone. My name's Tim Taylor from Korimako. It's really a great pleasure to join you all for this training session in public sector innovation, working with the UNDP and the Smart Up team and Dark Matter Labs. I hope you're going to find the week really valuable overall. In this first session, I'm going to talk a little bit more, building on what Eustace already started, in terms of the context and the global picture and challenges we find ourselves facing and needing to confront, so that from that foundation we can explore the role of how can the public sector and public sector innovation help to create the really critical and radical changes that we are going to need to make happen in the coming months and years. Firstly, I would like to introduce what's come to be called the donut model. We're talking an American-style donut with the hole in the middle. Could have been other forms of ring, I suppose, or a wheel, but it's come to be called the donut model for better or worse. But I find this the most valuable way of capturing the whole, the enormity, if you like, of sustainable development in one picture. It really brings together the breadth of what we need to be working on and the outcomes that we are looking for as human societies and communities. So we're going to use this today to sort of think about the big picture, the global context, and then bring it down to think a little bit more about your local context as well. So just to quickly introduce the structure and the idea of this for those who haven't seen it before. The outer part of this ring is what you can see here in the picture is called the ecological ceiling. It goes a little bit beyond ecology. It's really the biophysical environment that we all exist in, the planet, if you like, but also you can think about it in terms of your more local environment as well. But it is designed around a sort of global view. The inside part is the social foundation. These are all of the things that are commonly regarded as being fundamental for any person, any human being to live well, to live a good life. So here we have obviously essential things like food and water, security, housing, energy, things that are really important to living well. Obvious enough, but also social networks, political voice, meaningful work, equity, a good income. And it's not really possible to live really well if you just have one or two of these things. Most people really need a good level of all of these things to have a high level of well-being and a good quality of life. So the goal for any human societies, both on a global view but also on a local view, is to get into the green donut part in the middle. What Kate Raworth, who developed the model, calls the safe and just space for humanity. A space that's regenerative, that's distributive, that's fair, let's say fun. It's a good place to live, and it's a place that we can keep on living because we're not undermining the environmental and ecological health of where we live. So that's the core idea of the model. So using this frame, let's have a look at the question of how are we doing? And in a word, terribly. Here is one view of the global snapshot using the donut, and you can see here that in many areas of the outer part there are big red things. I mean, obviously it plays a little bit of a visual trick with you, the model, at this point, because it kind of suggests that the outer part are more important than the small part, so you have to sort of look at it and imagine that they're a bit more equal in size. It's a little bit like the map of the world that makes Northern Europe look bigger than Africa, where that's not really fair. The donut has kind of the same effect, but you can see red in many places, and and it shows that we're not doing well enough on a global level, both in the ecological sense and in the social sense. Now you can see in the outer part of the model there are some clear areas, but unfortunately by and large it's not due to these being fine, it's more a problem of a lack of data. So some further work has been done since this initial version was produced, like this one in the corner here from the Stockholm Resilience Centre, who are the architects of the outer part of the donut really in the first place, gathering more data and unfortunately showing more areas where we're exceeding these ecological thresholds. The University of Leeds has recently done similar analysis, again using the donut as a frame to investigate this question of how are we doing overall. And this is their global view using data between 1992 and 2015. And we can see a trend that's where unfortunately the picture is getting worse from the left to the right. And also they conclude that countries are generally transgressing, breaking through the planetary boundaries faster than they are meeting the needs of their citizens. So we're creating problems on the ecological side faster than we're even meeting and solving problems on the social side. And shown in a different way, this graph shows the data country by country and the path that those countries have been traveling, again in this period from 1992 to 2015, so there's a little bit of catching up for the data to do. But basically the top left-hand quadrant is where we should be, where all social needs are met without transgressing any biophysical boundaries. And as you can see, there are no countries at the moment that are anywhere close to being in the right place or traveling in the right direction. The small green circle in the middle of the chart is Costa Rica, having just done a sharp turn to the right, having transgressed another ecological boundary. They are closest, but again, as you can see, not heading in the right direction. So overall, country by country and humanity as a whole, it is clear that we have really a lot to do. And at the moment, we are failing badly in this challenge to be getting into that safe and just space for humanity. And we know what these failures look like. In Ukraine at the moment, they look like this. They can also look like this, closer to home. And they look like this, and this. Or this. This or this. I'm sure you can think of other pictures that come to your mind. And the question is really, are we going to manage to change tracks into a better path and fast enough or not? Now coming back to these donut snapshots, these are the pictures again from the Leeds University analysis specifically for Bosnia and Herzegovina from 1992 to 2000 to 2015. Now there's definitely some holes in the data, no doubt about that, but you do get a sense that also here the picture is certainly not getting better over time. And shortly we're going to do an exercise to sort of explore this in some more depth and see how you view this picture in your local places and contexts. Before we move on, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to put the donut model in context of, I guess, other frames that are out there as well. So it's not the only way to kind of frame sustainable development challenges by any means. Here on the top right, of course, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, another excellent and closely related approach. As I understand it, they kind of, in the process of working on the Sustainable Development Goals, the donut was a really formative frame that many people were looking at. I guess the donut's a little bit more grounded in the theory, and the Sustainable Development Goals are a wonderful representation of what we need to be striving towards, having come through a global process of discussion and negotiation. Both very helpful, perhaps in slightly different uses. On the bottom left, you actually see what Kate Raworth's team, who came up with the original donut concept, how they've sort of explored how to expand that out for more local uses. So this is part of their toolkit for communities to think about using the donut to frame where they're trying to go. So this is one representation that they've come up with. And on the bottom right is the Ecodistrict Protocol, which an organisation in North America has developed, really focused around a holistic approach to neighbourhood scale regeneration, especially in cities. And all of these things have a lot more in common than they have in differences. Different communities are using them in slightly different ways. The key point from all of these is that they help you to take a much more holistic view of the end goal. Where are we trying to get to as a community? What are the outcomes that we must be striving for? Not just one or two pieces of this picture. For my work, I use this frame, drawing on all four of those previous ones and the donut concept, and we're going to use this shortly as the basis for an exercise to explore how does this look in your local contexts from your perspective. But first, I'm very happy to take any questions from this introduction session.